I'm Nika Gabiskiria. This is Luka Abashidze and Ulla Alla. We are garbage kids. But yeah, basically, me and Luka, we've been friends for a very long time. Ulla is my wife, and then certain moment we decided to start doing furniture or interior objects from found materials. And it's been more than 5 years, I think, since we've been doing that, and it's quite fun. It's very interesting. None of us has the background in carpentry or anything, but we decided that we would learn along the way, and it's going pretty well in that sense. It's very interesting, very intuitive practice in a way as well. So it's you always learn something new during the process, but it's still like, yeah, very manageable.
Our background is in architecture, so we did somewhat are from a spatial field, but none of us are now practicing it. Nika and Luka kind of worked Luka especially in the field of architecture. He was a mega project construction manager and project manager, and then kind of gave up on this world, and Nika did a bit of architecture as well. And I never really entered it, sort of thing. Immediately after I finished my studies, I was like, I would like to try to search some other ways of working in the space or with space, I think. Why we started doing it was there's a certain frustration in the, I think, field of architecture or anywhere sort of design field as well, that then our approach was, okay, let's just make it for ourselves. And it started with just using materials we found around. So the first object we made was, me and Nika were in West Georgia, and we just found this very strange piece of wood that is native to the Caucasian mountains, and we built a table out of it. It became the table legs because we're like, oh, this would be such a strange wood to use. And then it kind of started developing through it, and then the material sourcing has turned into searching for materials from abandoned construction sites or building or like quarries and factories, or going to like scavenging materials in urban forests or forests generally. And that has left us with quite interesting use of materials. So it's what we find and is around us, and quite unique materials, I think, to work with.
But also like, well, like broadly saying as well, like speaking as well, like we are very pessimistic towards the consumerist markets and whatever is happening right now in the world, like how things are being consumed, not and including the furniture or anything else, the design objects as well. They're mainly like mass produced in a certain ways and from very cheap materials, or in any case, it seems that they are made temporarily for one-time use, you know, like just a couple of years, and it's gonna break, and then you just go and buy the new one. And our like natural response against it was to create something which should like and the idea is to last forever in a certain ways. You know, it's very restorable. It has a big, like quite a big character to itself as well. So like the person should build some sort of a connection to this object as well. So you don't want to give it up as easily as you would give up like a normal consumerist object as well. Like so in that sense, that was one of the directions we wanted to take, or not wanted. I mean, it just happened naturally as well. You know, like it's not that like you choose this, okay, let's go in this direction or something like that. But then like, yeah, it just because we all agree on certain problems and the certain directions, then like you just go with that naturally, and that's it.
Yes.
First things first, we did not have this formal education, not in the industrial design nor in the building of it. We just decided to try it for a year or so, and to make it, to try to make it unique, and then to look at ourselves back and to assess if we are good to try to go. So after a year, we we kind of thought that it was okay, and lots of our friends who, in our opinion, are capable of assessing those stuff, were in love of what we did, so it encouraged us to continue whatever we are doing. But yeah, I mean, the best part of it, in my opinion, is that like we don't have this certain direction of what we are doing specifically or where we are going, but it's mostly the fact that we enjoy working together and we enjoy the idea to create something unique together and to continue doing it together.
Yeah, I know, but I think it's also this, there is no like great plan of how we design something or if something comes up. Either it's a material that is like, oh, we want to use that, let's try and like figure out, and then the material says it, or somebody comes up with like, I had this silly idea or this very serious idea, but half of the time there's also a bit of like, there's a bit of joy or a joke in some of the pieces as well. And then we're like, okay, let's do it. There's a quick sketch and then we start building it.
Yeah, like this one story that like we are doing it, like the manner of our working is like children playing in the playing ground, like making fun out of everything. Like once they joked about my tattoos on the body, and they decided they thought that, hey, let's do this silly furniture with the same kind of tattoos that Luka has, and like it was in the end, we think it was gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
And like that's the, it's not this like standard like manner of working, it's just I mean we feel very free to decide whatever we are going to do, and it will change a lot before we create it. It depends on the wood, it depends on the mood, it depends on absolutely everything human. So yeah, not first pieces, but we are going to exhibit here 7 left hands of Nika in Tallinn. Left hands of Nika. It's your hands. It's obviously your hands.
In the beginning, it was quite tricky or strange as well, because we knew a lot about carpentry, so we were making quite a bit of mistakes. Then you could also get way too excited about the material in a way and think that's like, okay, this is just great by itself. I think now we have certain direction more like which we kind of all collectively enjoy doing. But as Ulla said, like one of the first ones was this 11 leg table with 11 feet, which was quite fun and funky piece. Then the tattoo bench, the bench with hand-drawn tattoos on its legs. And I think another significant one maybe from the first ones were the sharing chair, which we also called the late guest chair. So it's a walnut chair with the bit of a extra space, but not too much for the person who comes too late for the party to
have a seat, but not really.
Yeah, like a half a seat for the late guest.
But it's interesting with all the first pieces, there was like this lack of belief that we can't do this, or like, because we were all learning the kind of woodworking by just testing a little bit of internet, and that's how we kind of were teaching ourselves. And now looking back at the first pieces, they were just the construction and like approach to it, and like this lack of confidence is, I think, has shifted quite a bit by now, or like the understanding of our skill levels.
More or less,
yeah.
I agree.
And just in a few years, you can see the evolution of making things.
In the beginning, it was just a fun idea that just to have a piece of furniture which comes with its own shadow, like that is materialized. Then you can buy the shadow as well, like it's kind of like, for us, it was jolly as a thought. But in a way, the way it developed over the time, like it kind of creates this like a mythical space. There's something which, like in contemporary time, you are very much deprived of in a certain ways. The way we live today and all the spaces we inhabit, it's very much stripped off this magicality. Like for instance, like whatever I see or experienced as a kid, like in the going through the dictionary, like not the dictionaries, how it's called, encyclopedias, and watching the History Channel and things like that, you know, getting to know like this beautiful historic arts of like people of the past, you know, like whether it's religious arts or just cultural art. And then it certainly like left quite a bit of this, like a very strong trace that of something which is like beyond reality in a certain ways, a little bit more like magical, and as like I'm repeating myself, but still it is. And in a way it is an attempt to create like this a bit of a magical feeling in the viewer as well, like just to believe in the mystery for like a glimpse of time or something like that. I wouldn't be able, I think, to talk about shadows too much, like, because I don't know, it was just like one of the mediums we chose for this particular game we came up with, you know, like it's, in a certain ways it's a game, but at the same time it's kind of really interesting as well. It brings you back to this, again, to like this childhood as well in certain ways, because it's like, you know, it's very fascinating for a human to observe the shadows, and it's like the first, like one of the first experiences with the real world and the way physics work, you know, and it's very magical always, or scary as well, and it has certain like deep human value, like humans value shadows in a way, you know, like, and we also value shadows. So that was just like the same way you would use red to design something, we chose shadow to play with, you know, like as a color or something, just as a medium.
So like partially, most of the material for the exhibition comes from Georgia, and it's weird scrap materials we found on, you know, Facebook Marketplace. Somebody is going through their shed and trying to get rid of stuff. There's some walnut that Luka found in a village somewhere close to Tbilisi, I think, that some guy just wanted to get rid of, and we had some oak that
used to be barrels.
I think used to be meant to be to build wine barrels.
Yeah.
So, but they had been like stored for 30 years in.
No. Look, it used to be the house.
It used to be a house.
Or some sort of a piece of architecture. Then it got disassembled and sent to the wine factory, and then somebody stole it from the wine factory, kept it in their garage for 40 years, and then his son or someone decided to sell it, and that's how we got it. And it was really like, we rarely buy materials, but then like, if it's really low price, then like sometimes it just feels like, yeah, of course, like go for it. Plus it's still secondhand, and it has the story, so it's cool.
And then there will be some strange tree seeds that we're using, that is an invasive species in Georgia. So all of the kind of materials and certain like approaches in the pieces repeat somewhat in a different manner what we've done before as well. We have some Soviet wool that is left over from Nika's grandfather. I think it's still the same coat fabrics found in the dacha, and then some odd weird bits combining together.
Yeah, like generally speaking, we started from this. That was the beginning of our practice, was to try to create something from like zero value, basically, like not to invest into it at all, and try to create something for literally nothing. So the first thing was to find some fallen trees in the forest, like find whatever you can actually scavenge with only your effort. So like the only thing you have to do is just to put some effort to find it. So and carry it as well. It's quite heavy sometimes, but yeah. And it since the beginning, we realized that it was quite simple and quite crazy the amount of materials you can find laying around, or being thrown away, or people wants to get rid of it. So generally speaking, like we started like that, going to the forest, scavenging for like mostly like fallen trees. You cut it into pieces or split it, and then you wait for it to dry for a few years. Some of it we used as raw, but you need to know how to use it, otherwise you can't directly use it in furniture. But yeah, like we collected some of the materials in the beginning of our practice. Some of it is still there, like we are still using it, like one of the trees, like Luka got from his previous job, for instance. Like they were cutting down this massive tree to build the parking lot, this development company. And usually they would send it to the village to burn it as a firewood, but then we got it for free. We realized, we found what tree it was. It was really amazing, like very unique tree called Japanese Sephora or pagoda tree or something like that. And it's one of the most beautiful trees that we ever seen or worked with, you know. And it's one of the like this positive or interesting parts about working with found materials is that you can actually get a chance to work with a very rare materials as well, you know, like something which is never be sold in the market. Like it's just because how the market is regulated now, it's simply like they're selling only the trees which are marketable, sellable, and like easy to grow or easy to find or cut or whatever.
Or work with as well.
Yeah, like sometimes as well. But generally speaking, this is like how historically people used to work as well, like whatever was laying around, you know, whatever you find it in your forest. And it's quite it's way more interesting in a way, like as a person who's obsessed with materials as well, it's especially more interesting, you know, like we found this cork oak trees, which grow only like in very limited areas on Earth. Like Portugal is really big at growing it, maybe a bit of Spain, and then like Georgia had apparently got some cork trees during the Soviet Union, and they imported them there, and apparently it grows in my village in the western Georgia, you know. And we found one which has fallen after the storm, and we are still drying it. We haven't used it yet. I have made only one spoon out of it. But yeah, I think it's very exciting, like to explore these little weird materials you can find laying around, which is usually the zero value for everyone else.